Hi everyone! In today's video, I'm going to talk about another character which is yet released in the global version of the game, which is Chameleon June. Now, you may have actually seen her in the dormitory section of the game, where you go and collect manga pieces in order to try to assemble a knight. However, she's not officially released, which is why you probably don't know what are her skills, how good she is, etc. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all of her skills, her armor, her constellation, a bit of a demo of how she looks in action, and also my review on whether this character is someone you should plan for in the future. Now, without further ado, let's go straight into it. Now, the first thing to note for Chameleon June is that even though she appears under the Bronze Knight section in both the handbook and also if you go to Dormitory, if you look at the manga pieces, etc., she is always under the Bronze Knight section. However, in the game, she's actually treated as a Gold Knight, not even a Silver Knight. She's actually treated as a Gold Knight. You know, in this wish card, if I pick who do I want to appear more often in my pools, Chameleon June is treated as a Gold Knight. So for this reason, you are able to bypass the normal restriction for Bronze Knight, who can't go above level 8, for example. That's why she also have her armor. She has 4 skill slots. So definitely don't think of her as a Bronze Knight. She is definitely at the level of a Silver Knight or Gold Knight, and therefore actually worth considering to put into your team. Now let's talk about Chameleon June's skills. As usual, I'll put the English translations on the left hand side. I won't read them out, you can read it in your own time. What I will do instead is talk about my opinions on those skills and what kind of situations would they be useful in. So let's start off with his ultimate. So Chameleon June's ultimate is basically just providing shield to 2 allies in your team. Priority will be given to the front row allies, and that basically kind of just gives you an indication about kind of the role Chameleon June will be playing, which is kind of just supporting your front line. And that is further shown in her second skill, which is looping skill. Now, this one not only heals the front row allies, also give them a customer boost, and at the same time increase their attacking. Now, this is amazing. You are essentially giving a buff in 3 different areas in a single time. So, very good skill. We then have the next, which is kind of the only offensive skill for Chameleon June, which is basically she restricts one back row enemy, and during that time, neither you nor that enemy is able to do any attacks. Both will be restricted. However, it lasts for a whole 10 seconds, and at that time, the enemy has a weakened defense. So this is actually really useful when the enemy has a really strong damage dealer, and you can use this to make sure essentially he's out of the game for a really long time. 10 seconds is really long time if you think about it. And because during that time, even though you can't attack, all of your allies can still attack them. So it's different to, for example, Aquarius Camus Ice Coffin, where you can't even attack them. During this time, not only is the enemy unable to move, but with a weakened defense, all of your allies can then start attacking him. So hopefully, by the time within those 10 seconds, you'll be able to single out that enemy and able to kill him off. So it's actually a very good way to counter certain characters. Um, so once again, something to watch out for. And lastly, we have a trigger skill, which is basically at any single time when an ally is below 40% health, then Chameleon June will be able to restore their health. And it can happen 5 times in a battle, and the interval is only minimum 2 seconds between them. Now, if you think about this, this is actually crazy because we have the likes of Taurus Aldebaran and also Agati, who have those kind of skill where when they are dead, essentially they gain a bit of immunity. And that makes them really good in terms of protecting knights, especially against maps when the enemy are much higher level than you. And normally you'll be wiped out in seconds. So that short moment of immunity essentially guarantees that you will be alive for those few seconds. Now, this is not quite semi-immunity. However, this happens whenever that ally is below 40% health. So you can actually think about it because this can happen 5 times as well with only 2-second interval. So essentially for the first 10 seconds, it kind of ensures your team will still be alive because as soon as anyone's below 40%, then you heal them up, etc. So this is almost like a slightly weaker version of Agate's skill, but applicable to every single knight in the team, and that is very useful. It can also be used to counter and neutralize enemies towards Aldebaran, because basically what enemies towards Aldebaran does is that if you deal any damage, then that will be reflected back to one of your own knights. And sometimes it will be reflected back to, most often because it's the knights with the lowest HP, it will be your own assassin knights, and that's at the back. So sometimes when you're up against Taurus Aldebaran, you actually find out your main damage dealer will actually be killed off before you can even release an ultimate, which is really annoying. However, now with this, it almost guarantees that they will be able to live through, even against the likes of Taurus Aldebaran's lock-on. So very, very useful when paired up with certain assassin knight. So very good skill there. Alright, now let's talk about her armor or clothes. For the first 2 level, it's basically where you do that restriction, where you restrict the enemy. You have received a reduced damage, and also you are able to regain your own health, which is very useful because, like I said, you won't be able to do anything during that time. So at least what this does is that it makes sure that even though, like I said, when the enemy is restricted, they receive a debuff on their defense. So this gives you a chance for your own other allies, your own other knights, to try to wipe them out. This kind of does the other way around because, once again, the enemy can also take this advantage to wipe out your Chameleon June. However, because now you'll receive less damage, so this kind of provides you a way to make sure that you are actually able to live after the restriction, the 10-second restriction. However, I think the main important armor to look out for is actually the next 2 levels. When you are healing an ally, you're actually giving them 1,000 cosmo or 3,000 cosmo at the highest level. Now, once again, this is super amazing because it's not just against your protector knight. Remember, this is for any of your ally as soon as they drop below 40% health. So this is crazy because, like the example I talked about earlier, when Taurus Aldebaran is trying to lock on to Assassin Knight, trying to eliminate them, this, because you're healing your own Assassin Knight, you're healing your own damage dealer, not only you make sure they survive, you actually give them a bit of a Cosmo boost as well, letting them to release their ultimate even earlier. So this completely neutralizes and counters enemies Taurus Aldebaran. So very, very useful skill there as well. I highly recommend you try to, once again, get the armor as high as possible here. Next, talk about Constellation. For the first Constellation, basically what it says is that you will slowly increase your Cosmo every single time when you release a skill. So that's pretty good. But the main thing to look out for, I believe, is when you have all 9 star points. So basically what this means is that your ability to increase the Cosmo, to increase their attack, and to heal your allies now is actually affecting all of your knights rather than just the front row. Now it actually affects every single ally, and that is crazy because if you think about certain characters, the most obvious example would be Sirius. Sirius is very good in the game right now because he is able to give a starting boost of Cosmo to every single knight, and that often allows you to have your first ultimate to be released, and that gives you a huge advantage in the battle. However, Chameleon June is able to do the same, and not just at the start of battle. Remember, this is a looping skill, so what this constellation is actually buffing is the fact that throughout this entire battle, you will be constantly granting buffs to all of your allies and constantly increasing their Cosmo. That is amazing because you have a massive advantage not just at the start of the game but throughout this entire battle. So you're always at a Cosmo advantage compared to your opponent. And with the way the meta is right now, it is very much dependent on who has the highest Cosmo and who's able to release the ultimate first. So once again, 9 star points, second level constellation, it's gonna be a massive power jump for Chameleon June. Now I'm gonna use a short clip to show Chameleon June in action. The first thing that you'll see is her looping skill, where she is gonna increase the Cosmo of the two front row knights. So you'll see some blue Chinese character popping up later, which indicates the Cosmo has been increased. There just now, I'm not sure why you saw that, but there was some really fast blue Chinese character popping up with a plus 1200, which indicate the Cosmo has been increased by 1200. Now I'm going to use her ultimate, which is going to grant a shield to the two front row allies. So there you can see some green circle indicating that shield. Now in this second clip, I'm going to show Chameleon June's other looping skill, which is this whip restriction. So you see this green line between Chameleon June and also opponent's death mark. So that basically just indicates the skill is inactive and both of the two knights will be restricted and basically not doing anything. You will see that the opponents will still be able to attack Chameleon June, so you'll still take damage. And likewise, if I had other knights, then they can still damage Deathmarks. However, Chameleon June and Deathmark themselves, you'll see that they are not moving, so they're not really doing any attacks for the skills. Now I'm on the international version again to demonstrate a few formation ideas for Chameleon June once she is released. Now, she's not in the game right now, so I'm using another winged attribute assist knight, support knight, to represent her. Now, first thing you want to know is you definitely want to place her at the back. You can probably already tell from her skills that her main role is kind of supporting the front row knights with loads of buffs such as Cosmo, attacking buff, grant them a shield, etc. So for that reason, you definitely want Chameleon June at the back. And also, it means the most important thing for you to decide the information with Chameleon June is that who are you going to put up front. Now, typically you put Protector Knights up front because Protector Knights are the most defensive and you really want the front line to protect the rest of your knights. However, if I'm granting those Protector Knights with attacking buffs and also a Cosmo gain, you have to really question is how beneficial are those for Protector Knights? A lot of their ultimates are not the best, and they don't deal high amount of attacks, a high amount of damage, so they won't really benefit too much from the attacking boost either. So, for that reason, I generally wouldn't recommend pairing Chameleon June with Protector Knights. I actually think the main benefit of Chameleon June is to bring out the ability, the flexibility to bring out other knights to your front row. So for that, I actually mean the knights such as Leo, Sagittarius, and Desmond, because all three of them are typically knights you wouldn't put up front because they're pretty fragile. However, they all have a bit of a self-sustain ability where they recover health. For Leo and Sagittarius, is when they use their skills. For Death Mars is when the enemy is killed off. So they're always able to recover a bit of health for certain situations. But at the same time they're pretty fragile, so you don't normally put them up front by themselves. However, now with Chameleon June giving them a defensive boost, it may actually work because they would be getting a shield, and when they have the shield up, they can use their skills to try to recover as much health as possible. So when the shield is down, hopefully they are at the full health and able to make them last a bit longer in the battle. And needless to say, all three of them really benefit from increased attacking boost and Cosmo gain. So, to me, those three are actually much better choices for Chameleon June to pair off with upfront. Okay, now next thing I want to talk about is formation bonus. Typically for formation bonus, you want to go down two routes. Either rainbow formation with knights of all different attributes, or you want to try to bring a few knights of the same color. Um, let's start with the second option first. So knights of the same color. I don't recommend, if that's the route you are going down, I don't recommend bringing Desma because what happens is actually you you then need either multiple wind attribute knights or multiple water attribute knights. And to be honest, both of those colors are lacking choices, in my opinion. For water attributes knights, you can have Libra Shuru or Moses. They are pretty much the most commonly seen other water knights. But both of them protected knights, I'm not too sure how much they benefit with Chameleon June. So you're really out of options in terms of the water attributes here. And likewise, wind attributes, we're pretty low on options here as well. So if you're trying to build a formation with multiple knights of the same color, I definitely don't recommend bringing uh, Deathmark here. Now, if you're actually building a rainbow team, then of course that works. You could bring your Gemini Seiya. Gemini Seiya is better than Evil Seiya in this case because you want to slow down the pace of the game. That's kind of what Chameleon June is designed for as well. You kind of give this trigger effect to increase the health of everyone up to 5 times, and also you're able to just take out an enemy out of the battle for 10 seconds as well. So Chameleon June is definitely trying to slow down the pace of the battle, so that's why Gemini Sega a good choice. And then there are lots of good choices for um, the fire and the earth slots. So maybe have Lasterian to slow down the pace of the game even more, and then you can bring out the Sagittarius or Leo up front because they are good pairing with Chameleon June. So lots of good options if you want to bring a rainbow color team. Now, if you actually want to bring knights of the same color, then the only route I can see is wind and fire. So once again, you can have Leo and Sagittarius up front. They're very good pairing with Chameleon June. And then for the other fire slot, you can bring Aris Mood to give it a bit even more sustainability with his shield, his ability to blind enemies, etc. And for wind attribute, you can bring Aggress Camus if you want that to go for a bit of a control build, or you can even bring Misty. Now, Misty is very interesting because you definitely don't want to bring Liberdoko. Liberdoko is just too defensive. You definitely don't need um, Chameleon June to buff him any further. The only other one I would recommend is Misty. Misty, even though he is quite defensive, you do find him to be getting a lot more fragile towards the later maps, and it's kind of where I am right now in stage 17. Um, you know, he's definitely a lot weaker, a lot more fragile there. So, he would probably actually benefit from coming in June. So, that's also a good option for you to go down. So, is Kamiju a good character to get? Um, in my opinion, Kamiju has a clear power jump when she unlocks the second stage of her constellation. So that should really be your decision point on whether to invest in her or not. If you want to go down the budget option of not putting too much resources into her, then Chameleon June is just a good character, but not necessity. This is because she would allow you to bring flexibility into your team building by allowing you to bring in more offensive knights upfront rather than protector knights. However, that's not for every occasion. That's very situational. A lot of time you still want to go down the traditional approach of bringing two protector knights because that's really what the front row is for. It's only very situational when you need that bit of an attacking boost and therefore need to bring in more offensive knights upfront. So for this reason, if you don't get the second stage of her constellation, to me, Chameleon June is just a good character, but your own personal choice on whether you to get her or not, depending on the situation. However, if you do plan to invest a lot of resources into her to unlock the second stage of constellation, then she becomes possibly one of the best character in the game because her skill of giving three different buffs in the form of attack, um, health, healing, and also most importantly, Cosmo is just one of the best skills. Cosmo advantage is the most important aspect in this battle. You often see whoever gets their ultimate release first wins the battle. It just makes such a huge difference. So an ability or a skill that allows you to constantly have Cosmo advantage throughout the entire battle is just absolutely massive. So it's definitely worth considering to invest all of your resources to get 9-star points for her second constellation skill. So yeah, the decision on whether to get her or not is really depend on your decision on whether to get all 9 star points for her to unlock the second stage of Constellation. Um, so if you're on a budget, maybe Chameleon June is not for you because unlocking Constellation does require a lot of resources, especially considering she's only a support knight. You will need to invest also in a lot of resources in your main damage dealers, etc., to make the team work. So it's definitely very expensive to train up a good Chameleon June. But the option is definitely there, and like I said, she has one of the most amazing skills once you do fully unlock her potential. So definitely a character to bear in mind. That's all for the video today. If you enjoyed the content, please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me to know that there are actually people out there benefiting from my guide and motivate me to share more knowledge in the future. If there's any topic that you want me to cover, please drop me a note in the comment section. Thank you for watching and see you next time.